Things are all wonky. Welcome to another episode of ohmTown on Twitch. Today is February 8th, 2022. I'm Mayor Watt, and I'll be presenting some news. Let's see if this works right. Nope. 1 second while I fix this. There we go. Sorry about that. Things are a little hectic here in ohmTown. Lots of construction going on. In fact, that's exactly what I was just doing. Not the website construction, mind you, but real world construction. Things might look a little different in the background. I'm working on a bunch of stuff, but here we are. Another day, another hour. I'm a lot late this time. I am going to be cleaning that up so that we are starting promptly at 6. But that's where I'm at. But let's get this show on the road. I've got close to 20 articles that I've selected throughout the day, and we're going to go through them really quick. I've got, as a mayor would, a late night appointment that I have to attend. So let's get going. And if you're in my chat, thank you very much for coming. Feel free to ask questions. I will try to stay moving forward and introduce you to some interesting articles. But like all of the episodes, the way that ohmTown works is it's an aggregator, and it aggregates from a bunch of sources around the world and throws them into these 6 categories. Within each category, there are groups. Those groups are discussion boards. Each one has a topic, a category within a category, I guess you could say. But the front page always has something new. So whenever you click on it, it refreshes and it has some new information that has been aggregated. The first article that I'm going to talk about is in the Word and Tech group on ohmTown. Apple's Tap to Pay feature lets newer iPhones accept contactless payments. So when you click this link, like always, there's only a little snippet on ohmTown, and then I expect you to go over and read the article so that you can come back and school me on what you read and ask questions, and even you can harass me if you want. Tell me what I know and what I don't know, that kind of thing. I want conversation. So now the great thing about contactless payments is that there isn't any information exchanged other than what amounts to a one-off code. Usually nowadays, it used to be the actual code, but now you can just throw money back and forth between contactless payment devices. And I think that is awesome, because now I can just walk up to somebody and give them some cash if they have a contactless payment capable phone, instead of having to use a proxy like PayPal or something else. But we're going to find out to what extent this is functioning. If anybody can do it with anything at any time, just have an account, a bank account, a credit card, or something that allows for electronic transactions, or if you have to have something else going on. But doing away with dongles is great. So this is an article over on The Verge. Richard Lawler is the person that wrote it. Go over to The Verge and read about how Apple's Tap to Pay feature will allow you to make payments and receive payments. The next article is in the Word and Tech. CalDigit's new TS4 Thunderbolt 4 dock has the most ports ever, except that it's a $360 dock. I suppose it's okay because it says that it has 18 total ports to handle any necessary or any accessory that you can throw at it, along with 98 watts of pass-through power for keeping your laptop charged. The router in my house has 150 watts, and that is a prosumer borderline enterprise level router. So that's pretty impressive. Let's click the link and see what it looks like. Hey, it's a little mini tower. I'm not sure how to pronounce the first name. Shame, perhaps? Gartenberg, over on The Verge, wrote this article. There's a really neat picture of it. I'm saying this description because I'm not just going to be doing the live stream anymore. I'm going to be posting these as audio and video on the website and on YouTube and on Apple podcasts to expand my presence, and hopefully some more people will be interested in attending the Twitch stream, because that is what I'm most interested in. So please tell a friend. Lots of ports. That's all that really matters to me. Desktops never have enough. Laptops certainly never have enough. And you can daisy chain a USB 3 until the cows come home, and it will still never be enough. I must have more ports. In fact, I think I bought a knockoff Anchor hub because I read that they're supposed to have barcodes, QR codes, so that you can verify their authenticity, but maybe not in the US. Anyway, I'm looking at it, and it sometimes goes really, really wonky. Like pulling out a cable makes everything reset. I don't know. It says Anchor on it though, so I'm not blaming Anchor. In fact, I want to verify that it's legit or not, so that I can raise hell if it is, because it it really spooks me. Every time I touch it, it tends to go a little wonky. That said, let's keep on rolling. I kind of dig hubs. I dig docks. Man, there's some jokes there, but I'm just going to keep moving on. This next article is housed in the Mobile Group on ohmTown. It's aggregated from The Hill. Gambling Trade Group predicts 31.5 million Americans will bet on the Super Bowl. Let's click this link. Now, you're not allowed to even, apparently, it's like Fight Club, apparently. You're only allowed to say Superb Owl, not Super Bowl. If you go to the subreddit Superb Owl, you'll find out all kinds of information about superb owls, but not the Super Bowl. Just letting you know. I'm surprised that anybody is mentioning the Super Bowl without throwing a trademark and a copyright and trade dress qualifications and telling you that you are not allowed to talk about it in anything but whispered, hushed tones. Anyway, the group also found that 76% of American adults agree that it is important for them to bet through a legal operator. Nah, I like to bet in dark alleys, typically with copious amounts of money in my pockets, billowing out of said pockets, because nothing makes betting on the Super Bowl more thrilling than the possible threat of robbery. This next article is The Word in Tech. NFTs are a scam, says indie game store itch.io. I'm going to click this link. It's from The Verge. James Vincent is the writer. You know what? I need to back up for a second because I want to Cameron Jenkins is the author for the Gambling Trade Group predicts 31.5 million Americans will bet on Super Bowl. I want to make sure that I get the author in there. So NFTs are a scam. The world of online creators is increasingly divided on the subject of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. But indie game store itch.io, I don't know if it's itch.io or itch.io. Anyway, somebody correct me in chat. And if you're not really a human in chat, or you don't feel so motivated to type it into chat, throw me a direct message. Just send me a whisper in chat and I will get it. It won't even be public, and I won't even say your name. If you're shy about setting me straight, pulling in actually Merwat, NFTs aren't a scam, and this publisher is wrong. Well, I can tell you that there are people that don't believe that they are scams, and it's because they're making money. But if it was in any other way costing them money or some other thing, I'm sure people would call it a scam. But you publish it, you spend money to publish it, somebody buys it from you, and then they can sell and trade it however they want for value added, as long as somebody finds value in it, so be it. So I don't really care about NFTs. NFTs are harmless in the grand scheme of things, as long as everybody that knows what's going on knows what's going on. What I would love is if an NFT was created for every single piece of software that I own. That way I can sell it if I want to, but right now I can't. You know that? You don't own the software that you buy in game stores, online stores. You own a perpetual license, and that license can be revoked pretty much in a heartbeat. If somebody wakes up one day and says, I want to pull all of those licenses because they were whatever, somebody said they're not legally sold, or they weren't sold for the right value, or whatever, they could pull it all back, refund your money. Maybe you'd have to ask for it, probably be a lawsuit somewhere, but it's happened before. And make every piece of software on Steam a non-fungible token so that I can sell it to somebody when I'm done playing. That's how it was back 25 years ago, when there was physical media, and the thought of piracy not being theft was a polarizing concept. But I had the ability to take what I purchased from a store and hand it to somebody else and say, here it is, pay me $10. Not bad. I can do it with my car. I can do it with the chair that's in front of me, because I'm at a sit-stand desk. With everything that's in my office, I can sell it. First sale doctrine here in the United States. But you can't sell it or trade it currently. This next article is in Mobile. Improperly discarded surgical masks threaten the marine ecosystem and food chain. Click this link, take you to phys.org. It's an article by City University of Hong Kong. You know what? I'm gonna say that the modern equivalent of those soft drink plastic ties, the holders, for a 6-pack, the modern equivalent of that is discarded pandemic masks. First off, I find it kind of creepy because potentially there is COVID trapped in it. Maybe it probably died off, but you never know when you're looking at a mask. And that might be a little hyperbolic to state, but finding masks just blowing around in the wind is just kind of zombie apocalypse dystopian, like Dying Light 2 level creepy. But I think that it is equivalent to the plastic that used to get stuck in stuck in animals' faces, preventing them from growing properly, preventing them from eating, or when they ingest it, the inability to digest it, and thus they might die because of it, because it causes a clog somewhere in their digestive tract. So clean up your masks. You're part of a society. Quit making society dirty and ugly. Better yet, get vaccinated so that we don't need masks. Maybe we can stomp out this virus entirely because everybody's vaccinated and the virus can't grab hold long enough to mutate and infect somebody else. Then we wouldn't need masks. But until it's gone, we need a mask. Next article is in Smack Talk. Smack Talk is a group at ohmTown where we're allowed to talk smack about Apple and its competitors, but the competitors in the context of Apple and not the, I only buy PC. That's not what it's about. It's about why is the PC better than Apple, and what is it that Apple's doing wrong that the PC is better at? So I've got a little of everything. I mean, I've said it in previous episodes. Laptops in Windows, Linux, MacBook Pro, right? iPhone, Android. No Windows phones. Just don't see it. Desktops, of course. Linux, VMs, PC. All kinds of stuff. Even a Raspberry Pi. Or 2. Or maybe 4. Anyway, Apple Car needs machine learning to make driving decisions fast enough. Yeah, no doubt. Can almost guarantee it. It's funny, it has the Apple logo. Here's a picture. William Gallagher is the author. Did I see who the author of the last article was? Yeah, City University. Okay, anyway, this article is written by William Gallagher. It has a picture of a car's steering wheel with that steering wheel icon in the middle. It's the Apple logo. Almost guaranteed that that's what's going to happen. It's going to have the Apple logo on it, but it's funny that it says airbag underneath it. Like somebody has to warn someone nowadays that there's an airbag in the steering wheel. Anyway, machine learning, artificially intelligent programs are going to be the only way that self-driving cars can exist. They are capable of not being distracted as long as they've been taught the right way and what to ignore and what not to ignore. And they don't get caught up in arguments with somebody in the seat next to them, and they don't drink too much, and they don't get stoned, and they don't act stupid, and they don't worry about cutting people off because they think that somebody cut them off, etc., etc. They are only as good as the humans that program them. So hopefully we have really good humans programming them. But eventually, Apple Car and other automated vehicles will be driving at 150 miles an hour and merging seamlessly, and nobody's throwing the bird at anybody, and everybody's going to be happy on the road because they'll be able to get to their destinations faster. And let me pause this because we're not going to do somebody's video on ohmTown. I want you to go to appleinsider.com and read the article. But my take on it is that, of course, you will have to have machine learning. It's almost a duh kind of a response from me. And at some point, technology will supersede humans in most places. As soon as we learn how to do fine motor skills. Wow, my F was a hot F. Fine motor skills. As soon as robots can do this and put stuff together, great, without it being this massive contraption around it. And as long as we don't use the Rubik's Cube as the metric, like I see tech taking over pretty much everything. And then maybe, you know, all of the money that we spend and all of the money that would normally go to wages would still go to wages, but people would be able to enjoy more free time and less feeling like they're just grinding for 40 hours a week and 80 because it's traffic that's tying you up. Next article, the word in tech. This article is titled Facebook Should Guard Against Revealing Private Addresses, Board Recommends. And so the Guardian is the source of this. And Oversight Board of Meta recommends exception to privacy rule should be removed. I think it's weird that it has to be enumerated that residential addresses should be obliterated from a social network. The only way is to vet them, and if it isn't the person who lives at the address stating, yes, here is my address, and outright acknowledging that all of the internet can come knocking on their door, it shouldn't be posted. It's doxing. Anybody that exposes somebody else without their willingness to accept that their information is going to be public, it's doxing. And if it's done with malice and intent, then it should be criminal. Nobody should be posting anybody's personally identifiable information on the net unless it's them that's doing it, the owner of the PII. I'm a little hardline about it. So the next article is Peloton co-founder steps down. Oh, did I say who it was that wrote that article? Jamie Grierson. I need to get back into that groove of saying it. I'm so rushed, so frazzled. I need to keep moving. So Facebook should guard against revealing private addresses, board recommends, and it's written by Jamie Grierson from The Guardian. The next article is Peloton co-founder steps down after a rough ride. So you click the link, it goes to ABC News. It's written by Michelle Chapman and Ann D'Innocencio. I think I pronounced it D'Innocencio. Yeah. I'm going to pause this because I don't want to stream somebody else's content. And so they're AP business writers. So the co-founder of Peloton is stepping down from the position of CEO after a whole bunch of things coming to bear on Peloton, seemingly innocuous stuff, right? So shows start saying that people are dying on the Peloton, and yeah, if it does happen, it does happen. It's an extremely popular exercise piece of exercise equipment, and people ride those bikes hard, and so sometimes somebody might push too hard and get hurt or die. Is it Peloton's fault? Absolutely not. And I don't think it's in any way possible for someone to construe that it would be Peloton's fault, but they've been made kind of the butt of jokes on SNL now, and a couple of shows talking about people dying on them. And that's just a shame. And now they're cutting 3,000 jobs on top of it. So bury the lead that the CEO steps down, and frankly, okay, so the CEO steps down, but the company's also cutting almost 3,000 jobs. And that isn't the title? That isn't the title of this? What part is more important here? 3,000 people's source of income is being either reduced greatly or wiped out entirely. And the title is Peloton co-founder steps down after rough ride. I guess we have different takes on what is important. to me, 3,000 people losing their job. CEO can be replaced pretty darn easy, but 3,000 jobs are going to leave 3,000 people stranded without income. Yeah, that bothers me so much more because the CEO is making hundreds of times what somebody else is making when they're firing 3,000 people. You know that they're not firing 3,000 executives, but they're going to get a new CEO, right? Barry McCarthy, who served as CFO at Spotify as well as Netflix, will take over as CEO. So the CEO didn't even, the body wasn't even cold, and now there's a new CEO. But 3,000 people are buried in here somewhere that they lost their job. As mayor of ohmTown, it bothers me. Unfortunately, I'm not making, crazy YouTube and Twitch and internet money to provide jobs. But if one of them or a bunch of them want to come on to ohmTown and host a show that they're passionate about, come and talk to me. Let's see what we can work out. Next article, the Daily News Show. Basically this show. Pfizer forecasts record vaccine revenue for 2022 as billions remain unprotected. If you invested in Pfizer, you're probably going to be making some money. This is an article on Common Dreams, written by Jake Johnson. They always have a really neat picture, kind of embodying the controversy of whatever it is that they're talking about. And it's let's see. In an analysis published in July, the People's Vaccine Alliance noted that Pfizer-BioNTech are charging their lowest reported price of $6.75 per dose to the African Union, but this is still nearly 6 times more than the estimated potential production cost of this vaccine. Well, that right there is kind of a call to virtue signaling there. I understand the need to seek profit in a business. The only thing that will change that is making an appeal to the investors, and it's going to be a struggle to say to investors and to the board, you know what, out of the kindness of your heart, why don't you trim 50% of your profits? Well, I hate to break it to you, but the moment you do that, you will have an stakeholder riot. Because there are a lot of people out there who will say, I'm in this for the money, not for the sociology lesson. And I've had people say that to me overtly during conversations about the sociology of society, right? Like, why should somebody charge $10,000 for a dose of medication, for one dose of medication that you have to take quarterly, let's say? Well, there's a whole lot of talk about what goes into it, but for the life of me, if it costs $1.25 to produce something, to produce it, right? So that means that you've already included all of your costs, including salaries and everything else associated with it. And if you multiply that times 7, which is almost what they're talking about here, it's nearly 6 times. Right? Well, maybe it's a little too high. But then when you go somewhere else to another country that has a higher cost of living and much greater revenue, and it's being funded by social money, not straight from, we're talking about taxpayer money, right? It's augmented by taxpayer money. Those pockets run deep. And I would love to be able to talk about FAR, but that takes, I might find some interesting article in my FAR aggregation system, but I have yet to pursue that. I mean, I do aggregate FAR government contracting related news, but we'll have to come back to it. Government contracting isn't as straightforward as people think, and it isn't that government is really crappy with money and that they're making a decision to charge more or whatever. It's a little more complex than that, a little and subtle. We'll have to talk about it. So I hope that somebody kind of gets their curiosity piqued by what I just said and they come and talk to me. Maybe I can work something out and have a discussion. The next article is Stock Marketeers Bond Report Yields for Treasuries resume rise with 10-year all but certain to breach 2% this week. So let's click this article. It goes over to Market Watch. It's written by Vivian Liu Chen and Mark DeCambre. It just seems to me that if there is a way to eke out profits, it's going to happen. And, the money will shift somewhere else, and that momentum in the other direction causes a fall in the previous direction, right? So somewhere there's a ton of money shifting from one place to another, eliciting an increase in the demand for said stock or bond or whatever it is that is being traded. And this is just the ebb and flow of big finance. So if you want to get something and you want it at what amounts to a secure percentage, get some treasury yields to 2% within the week. Apparently 10-year treasury yield hits highest level since 2019 as it marches towards 2%. And again, MarketWatch changes its title but not the URL. And so the first time this was published was February 8th at 7:45 a.m. and at 4 p.m. they made the last change, which is why my aggregator sees multiple copies of this. Because with changes, it reassesses and will pull down a snippet and relink to it. At any rate, another article, Stock Marketeers. It was aggregated from MarketWatch as well, just like the last one. Need to know, forecaster who called Bitcoin's skyscraper top, says this company remains the smartest digital / fintech, which is financial tech, play. So click the link, go over to MarketWatch. This is written by Barbara Kohlmeier. And did they change the article again? No. You can go over and check it out. This brings us to our call for the day, where we continue chatting with president of macroeconomic research firm Lamoureux and Company. He's doubling down on Bitcoin exchange and digital asset marketplace backed, BAKKT, and the ticker is BKKT, which apparently currently is plus 2.41%, but says steer clear of Bitcoin. Yeah, there's a lot of exchanges. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there. I can't remember what the number was. Somebody had said, I read or heard somewhere, something like 5,000 different cryptocurrencies that are being traded. It needs to be consolidated. There needs to be a market leader that is different than Bitcoin if it's going to get any traction. It needs to be adopted and seamless and something that people understand. As I said in a previous episode, it's really hard to purchase something with Bitcoin unless it's a big amount, because nobody knows what 5 cents in Bitcoin is without a calculator breaking it down and moving the decimal point way over. But let's keep on moving. Van de Bezel. That's a group at ohmTown, and in it is aggregated news about watches. And this article is from Hodinkee. Talking watches with Ruger Villaseñor. Sorry, I am trying to rush. I don't know how that first name is pronounced. Ruigi? Yeah. Villaseñor. Creative director of Bally and founder of the fashion brand Rude. I don't think it's pronounced rude. But correct me. I'm still learning that name. So anyway, click the link. It'll take you over to the site. Stephen Pulverent is the author, and they talk about this watch right here. It's pretty neat. It's a skeletonized watch, has moon phases, has days of the week, month, day. Pretty neat. And yeah, well, then they've got other stuff, like a Rolex and other pictures in here, but you can go and read the article. But watches are big business, and if you've never seen anything on, if you've never really done a deep dive into watches, just do a search for watch selling in New York on YouTube, or rebuilding a watch, repairing a watch, and you'll see people, you'll be bombarded by watch related videos. People are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on watches any given day. It's just spectacular. That niche is pretty amazing. I'm into it for the tech, not for the value or the Rolex. I really just wear a smartwatch and that's it. But I've got other watches, but nothing fancy. Just here for the tech. The next article is under B-Baby. That was actually a website for buying and selling and trading beads and jewelry and jewelry findings. Because I've made a custom clasp, and I'm still trying to figure out if I want to bring it to market or not. And in my effort to learn more about the market and learn about patenting that particular clasp and whatnot, I actually set up a site because I found enough value in that market, and I just couldn't dedicate enough time to it. So it got rolled into ohmTown, and it is now a place where news gets aggregated to. And this is from, I think it's called Beating Gem. Yeah. So the article is over on Beating Gem. It's the author is actually the Beating Gem. It doesn't have a name, but I think it's Pearl Blay, aka the Beating Gem. Wrote the article, Gorgeous Beadwork Jewelry Tutorials by Merida Design. And if you take a look at the picture, you'll have to look at either the live stream you're in my chat or a VOD, and you'll see the beadwork that was done. But it basically looks like a flower or star, and it looks pretty neat. And it's a level of complexity that I probably wouldn't have the patience for, but they're pretty neat. And they go into detail about how to make them, and they make tutorials both, I'm sure. Yeah, it's a PDF, and you can just download them and they walk you through how to make it. It's pretty neat. So go and check it out. It's over on, I'm scrolling like crazy, so I'm really sorry if it's making you seasick. But go over to beadinggem.com and do a search for gorgeous beadwork jewelry tutorials by Merida Design. Next article, how TikTok star Woo-Tak Kim from Bar Chemistry keeps his creative edge. This is within the group called Order of the Grape, or just of the Grape. Again, just a snippet. Then we go over to Vine Pair, and it's written by Julia Larson. And if you are, I don't spend any time on TikTok. I've got people that send me videos all the time from TikTok, but I don't spend any. It's just I like a deeper dive when I'm consuming entertainment. And everything that I've seen from TikTok is really short. But Kim has 1.7 million followers, 42 million likes on his videos. That's amazing. 1.7 million followers. TikTok is just very easy to consume. And so if it's done right, then you can actually attract quite a following. But I'm not sure. I have not done any other digging into TikTok's mechanics, the processes, about converting them into customers and not just followers. So I think it should be treated more like a value add in business, to speak to people who are interested in what you're doing, and don't really consider it as it's more like marketing, and keeping a really tight bond with your followers, because they're consuming little snippets in rapid succession. So, and that's where it is. Kim first started his TikTok account to promote his company Bar Chemistry, which sells aesthetically pleasing matte cocktail equipment in eye-catching colors and tones. So this is what happens when I do one of these episodes. I don't read the article beforehand because I want you to witness the an authentic response to consuming a little bit of information. And you get to see, this is my experience historically, and then it just, obviously it happens, just the way that I'm thinking about things. So go and read the rest of this article, because there's quite a bit here underneath it. They ask questions. You've defined yourself as the only established Asian content creator in the drinks space. What does that mean to you, and how does that affect the way that you make your drinks and run your platforms? I'll let you go over to VinePair and read the article. Again, it's titled How TikTok Star Woo-Tak Kim from Bar Chemistry Keeps His Creative Edge, and it's written by Julia Larson. The next article is A Sense of Crisis for Wasabi, a pungent staple of Japanese cuisine. It's housed in the Mobile Group, but it's from the New York Times. That's where it's aggregated from. If you don't know about wasabi, it isn't what we consume here in the States. More than likely, you've not had real wasabi in the United States. What's pretty prevalent here in the States is horseradish that's been colored green, because wasabi loses its punch a lot faster than what we get in standard lumps of what we call wasabi here. And it's very, very difficult to grow. It has to have running water, fresh running water. It needs to be chilly, but not freezing. It can't get too warm. It can't be dirt soil. It has to be a rocky substrate, but always flowing fresh water. Otherwise, it doesn't grow nicely. And there's more about it in the article, but what you're supposed to do is you buy wasabi, and then you sit and grind it. You use it like it's a really fine mesh grater, and that's where you make it per that use. Really quickly you do it, and you consume it with your food, whatever it is that you're eating. Otherwise, it will lose its pungency, and you will not really get full flavor. But what we get in those little packets is, let me see, 1 second. So horseradish, mustard flour, cornstarch, and green food colorant is what is mostly in the food packets that the wasabi packets that we buy here in the States, or that we get when we get sushi takeout, or even eating in. It's very rare that it's actually real wasabi. This next article, oh, did I say who that one was written by? Let me make sure that I get everybody in here. Matoko Rich and Makiko Inui. This is an article at the New York Times titled "A Sense of Crisis for Wasabi, a Pungent Staple of Japanese Cuisine. Climate and demographic threats are chipping away at a centuries-old culture around the cultivation of the fluorescent green plant." I can imagine a time when we master growing wasabi and we can pull it into a vertical greenhouse environment with no substrate. We can just do hydroponic. But it will take time to learn what it really takes to grow fresh wasabi in a hydroponic environment. I'm sure people are trying, but it's not always that easy. It's kind of like finding mushrooms. It's hard. It's not that hard to grow many mushrooms, but some it's difficult. And things like truffles, not easy to grow under controlled circumstances. So we've got a few more articles that I'm gonna rush through here. It's getting kind of late, and I think we're at about 50 minutes, but let's see if I can hurry up through this. North Korea builds ICBM base near China to deter the United States. Obviously, it's a deterrent simply because of proximity, but nothing is going to stop either a preemptive strike to hobble or a full-on strike, because China does not want North Korea to pull China into a conflict. And this just reminds me of, one person saying, "Don't mess with me," or "This person's gonna beat you up." And it's, to me, it's just odd. But like this article says, the location is meant to protect its most powerful weapons from preemptive strikes, allowing the military to expand an already rapidly growing arsenal. I can imagine that North Korea would fire at Japan and South Korea. I thought that we were hopefully moving more towards the naive position that we are going to live in Star Trek times, where automation and mastery over material sciences is going to change the dynamic, and we won't have to worry about food and shelter and water, and we can just concentrate on becoming more intelligent, more holistically human beings, and not figure out new ways to kill each other. But I guess not. Some of us can try, but I think we'll butt heads against people who want to just fire missiles off at each other because it's cool. This next article is Nvidia's $40 billion takeover of UK chip designer ARM collapses. I spoke about this briefly in another episode. Click this link here. Did I say who the last one was? The article about North Korea was written by Cho Sang-hoon over on New York Times. This next article about the $40 billion takeover of ARM that collapsed is written by Mark Sweeney and agency. I'm not sure what and agency is, but Nvidia, there were rumors about Nvidia taking over ARM, and apparently it says a British company aims to seek stock market flotation after Japan's SoftBank abandons sale. So Nvidia's $40 billion takeover of Cambridge-based ARM has collapsed due to insurmountable regulatory hurdles, leaving the British chip designer to seek a stock market flotation in the next year as an alternative. Well, if that happens and they don't turn around, Apple could buy ARM, but why would they? They've already ramped up the fab. They might buy the perpetual rights to the core ARM, not just a license, because they use ARM architecture within the new M1 chip, and every iteration of the M chip that's going to come out is going to have ARM core in it, but they extended it with their own architecture. So does Apple need ARM? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Somebody might find the value in owning ARM and then exploit that, leverage that to demand greater fees from Apple and others. So go read the article. It's over at The Guardian. This next article is in Stock Marketeers. That's where it was aggregated to. Its source is MarketWatch, Kelley Blue Book, the 2022 GMC Hummer EV. The all-electric full-size luxury pickup has real truck abilities, but a steep learning curve. So it's a $113,000 Hummer EV. Looks neat. It looks like something out of Halo. Written by Brian Moody. The first edition will be a showcase for off-road capability. And man, love the idea of it. 1,000 horsepower estimated, but all electric. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Oh my God, that beast can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So, internet, let's have a moment here. I'm going to get close to my mic. Okay, so if anybody has an extra $113,000 laying around, I would like to buy a Hummer EV, and well, that's just it. I'm just going to leave that alone right there. So if you have an extra $113,000, no, see, I can't. No, let me back up. Okay, no, Mayor Watt, focus. You can't buy a $113,000 electric Hummer. That's just not what you do, right? It's a want. It's not a need. And it's not even a want that really has any foundation in reality. But that's a good looking. If that's not a render, which I don't know, could be a render. Sorry, I'm scrolling. So if you're looking at the VOD, you're in my chat. I'm really sorry about me scrolling. But it looks pretty darn nice. I mean, it's Rivian style aesthetics, you know. But 1,000 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and it's a full-on Hummer. That thing, oh my gosh, can you imagine that on the freeway? Just idling along, going 55, and then you stomp on the pedal and that thing just take off. 1,000 horsepower. All right. Anyway, this was pulled into Stock Marketeers, but it really should be Four Wheel Tack, and I might move it over there, but I'll leave this for now. Wow, what a bummer. If only I had played my cards differently, I probably still wouldn't justify a $113,000 vehicle. I mean, I don't think I've ever thought about spending that kind of money on a vehicle. I don't spend enough time traveling anymore, so I never have really. NerdWallet, stock marketeers. This article is over on MarketWatch. It's NerdWallet, big changes to small businesses, some pandemic trends that are sticking around. Take you over to the article. It's written by Whitney Vandiver. Many small business owners have found that the changes in their business models have helped their companies grow. Yes. Through strife and trouble and an obstacle, you find miraculous ways to overcome them, and you become more focused on your strategic advantages, and you focus on tactics that allow you to grow your company and acquire customers at a lower price point for a longer period of time. That retention value makes your business stronger. And so when the pandemic hit and people stopped panicking and not just acted in survival mode, and they actually opened themselves up to their customers and said, how can I help you better? What can I do? Businesses got feedback and said, well, close it all down and open up just the front door and quarantine the back and do delivery and market for delivery. Don't even concern yourself with reopening in the near future. Just make sure that you are fast, efficient, your food is still good, and it's ready when people show up, not 2 hours early. Don't let it sit. Make it fresh. Make it on time and be quick. And focus on that quality and focus on the service that you provide from your business. If it's a food service, focus on both how you interact with customers and the food, but make the food better. If it's just a service, then value add, do more, because you're no longer doing things in the real world. You'll have to focus on the virtual side and keeping in touch with clients without having that face-to-face presence in an office or something like that. Do what I did, which is, I changed my set. I built it out better. I did sound deadening in my office, so there's no echo. My mic is actually, arm's length away. I got better camera. Actually, my other camera was technically better, but this one actually works a lot better. And there are all kinds of things, but you have to analyze really what your business is good at, and then go from there. And that's one of the things that I do for my business. I help small businesses, and the pandemic for a lot of small businesses ended them because they couldn't pivot fast enough and recover in time. So that's just that's one of the things that happens, unfortunately. So go and order something from a local small business and help them stay in business. You'll regret it when they're gone. The next article is housed in the Mobile Group, but its source is phys.org. World must work together to tackle plastic ocean threat, WWF. Plastic has infiltrated all parts of the ocean and is now, quote, in the smallest plankton up to the largest whale, end quote. Wildlife Group WWF said. I keep wanting to call the WWF the World Wrestling Federation, but I guess I'm old school. WWF said on Tuesday, calling for urgent efforts to create an international treaty on plastics. Phys.org, we'll go over to the article and you get to see it. There is a picture of all of this plastic pollution on the beach, but it's also in the oceans, and it seeps out because there are a lot of countries that just throw their debris into the water supply, and it gets carried down gutters and stuff into overflows, down streams, out into the ocean, becomes a big mess, comes back onto the beaches. You can't just throw it into water and it's gone. It no longer becomes your immediate problem, but then it comes back to haunt you. And it's disgusting that microplastics are in every fish, and it seems like all of our food is contaminated in some way. So no wonder there is tremendous amounts of cancer and illness and weird genetic wobble that throws a new coronavirus out every 100 years. We're just not treating the world with the respect it deserves, and it's coming back to bite us year after year. And now oceans are getting hotter. And, I'm sitting here proselytizing about being better to the planet. So I'm going to get off of my soapbox. But when plastic is everywhere, we have a big problem. And so I urge everybody, just recycle, just throw it in. At least in the United States, there's always these blue bins. You throw it in there and you recycle it. I would like to buy more recycled plastic for my 3D printing. I think that would be great, because I don't really care what it looks like, because the function is important, but you can actually select the recycled plastic for its color, and get recycled plastic for 3D printing. All of this that's sitting on the beach could be recycled by color and then ground up and turned into new plastic. It's difficult, it's messy, it's convoluted, but it can be done. All it takes is people to separate their paper from their plastics, and it's pretty darn easy at the source. Each individual human being just has to separate their plastics and their paper. Plastics, paper, glass. Done. Okay. Let's leave it here. I want to thank you all who are in chat. Thank you for coming and listening to me rattle on, and maybe give a little bit of context, maybe draw some attention to the news, little bits of news. There's a ton more over on ohmTown itself, and around the world. That's where it aggregates from. And again, like I said, the moment that you click on ohmTown, it'll refresh and you'll get new news. House passes bill to reform Postal Service operations. GOP tensions flare over January 6th attack. It goes on and on and on, and we suffer from information overload, which is why ohmTown was created, so that I could provide a source, 6 categories, 50 shows within them, categorized in a way that's easily digestible and limited. There's very little chaos on ohmTown, because of the way that I categorize the news into groups that are represented in their name. So if you go to Law Nerd, you'll find articles about law. If you go to Policy Metrics, you'll find out news about policy. Right Protect is copyright, trademark, patent. Smash or Trash is an evaluation news kind of show that I'm trying to put together. And again, in all of these, I'm looking for a host or a co-host. So if you are interested, if you think that this is kind of easy and interesting and fun, you and I can work something out, and you can host for an hour a week, or you can co-host and you'll be up there. In between us will be alerts. And we can chat in real time. You don't really have to prep. It's all about consuming the news in real time and offering up an authentic response to what we are reading in the immediate moment. Because that's what we do on a daily basis as human beings. We find out about news and we consume it and we react. And sometimes we just need to vent. We need to talk about it. And I like to do it here on Twitch, and I hope that you enjoy the show. I do better when I get more people chatting in chat. But in the real world, I'm talking to large groups of people, and so I'm riffing off of their feedback and their kind of micro tells about if they buy into what I'm saying or not. No, I'm not a motivational speaker, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn once. Anyway, I think I'm done for the day. I will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Hopefully, I'm running late lately because we're doing construction, and I'm going to leave it there. Thanks again. Hope to see you tomorrow.